speaking of elections, let's switch to the more immediate campaign, which of course is Scott Walker and his presidential run. Now, today he's in Minnesota. I guess tomorrow, this weekend, he's in Iowa. He was spotted in Appleton yesterday.
And he might be anywhere else.
We don't have
no idea.
It's probably in one of the key states, though. Craig, you had a story this morning about sort of the balance that the governor is trying to seek or has to seek between his approval ratings at home and what he's promoting nationally. Talk a little bit about how he's doing or what sort of the pitfalls he faces are.
Yeah, there have been 3 Wisconsin polls this spring, and in each one of them, his numbers are down significantly, and they're negative, in negative territory. I mean, the Marquette poll, 41% approve, 56% disapprove. I mean, one of the remarkable things about his numbers in the 3.5 years that Marquette's been polling since the beginning of 2012 is how stable they've been. I mean, they hardly ever change. I mean, he's so polarizing, and people are so divided over him that, you know, his approval rating's always, you know, somewhere between 46% and 51%. So this poll was kind of shocking in that regard. I mean, a lot of people expected his numbers to go down. He's not in the state as much to defend himself. He's got a controversial budget. He's running for president. That can come with baggage. So it'll be really interesting to watch going forward whether he can bounce back once the budget is over from these numbers. But the risk is that, you know, he's going around to Republican primary voters, you know, bragging and touting his record of political success in a swing state as a conservative governor. And when his numbers are underwater, I think that has the potential to undermine that message.
So some of Walker's people today were saying this is just simply a result of the fact that he's less visible in Wisconsin. Do you think that's a factor or not?
Yeah, I think, you know, so what's changed since his numbers were better, the presidential campaign and the budget. And so it looks like it's some combination of the budget, which is not popular in these polls. And yes, he's out of state, so he's not around to kind of defend himself. There's also the sort of perception that he's not here spending 100% of his time governing, which is potentially a negative because he's running for president. And also, you know, he's running for president, he's playing to conservative Republican primary voters around the country. And so, you know, he's saying things and taking positions that may not appeal to the sort of voter in the center of the Wisconsin electorate the way they do to conservative grassroots Republicans and activists.
It seemed like there were 2 main stories about Walker in Wisconsin media, one being where is he and do we know where he is, and the second one is what part of his budget's being rewritten or being deleted. But there's actually a third one, and I'm wondering, you're talking about the effect of his Wisconsin numbers on his national run, but you know his national run has an effect here, not just in the fact that he's not around and he's might not be seen as governing, but he's had these issues where he's flip-flopped on several issues: the immigration issue and the ethanol issue, a number of those things that aren't issues here, but it doesn't look very good for him to be, you know, to be changing positions on some of these things.
Yeah, and I think there's several aspects to that. One, as you said, is cases where he's flip-flopped, like immigration and ethanol. Even right to work, which he didn't change his position on, but went from saying he didn't want it to come up to signing the bill. So, you know, there's the effect of seeing him change his rhetoric on some of these issues. There's also the fact that he's being forced to talk about issues that he's not all that well-versed and experienced at talking about, like foreign policy, and also moving to the right on some issues. So all those things, it's not just his absence, as you said, it's kind of sort of how he's defining and how he is trying to define himself in a Republican presidential campaign and how that plays back home.
Well, let's talk about one of those issues. Mary, you had a story earlier this week about, we've heard about Walker's shifts on illegal immigration, and then this week there's discussion about legal immigration and, you know, foreign folks who are coming here to fill key jobs and things like that. What did he say, and how did that kind of get him a little mixed up with the rhetoric?
Yeah, he's been criticized for flip-flopping on illegal immigration, but in the wake of that, he has now twice talked about limits to legal immigration, and he didn't specifically come out with a policy proposal, but raised this issue or the suggestion that maybe we need to limit legal immigration and look how it's affecting American workers and American wages. And really, I've not heard any other 2016 presidential contenders talking about limiting legal immigrations. Senator Jeff Sessions has been into that and talking about how it's hurting the American economy, but really nobody else from 2016 crowd has gone there. And it's gotten a lot of pushback. A lot of conservatives want to see immigration reform. The Koch brothers support immigration reform and certainly legal immigration. A lot of conservative think tanks want to see legal immigration expanded and want to see reforms to the immigration system. So it was a bit surprising.
He seems to be flailing on the immigration issue because he's been all over the place. And if you remember, initially he blamed a reporter for his changing positions, and now he acknowledges he's changing positions, and he seems to be changing positions, you know, all of the time.
Well, I've long thought that, I mean, campaigns function in sort of a predictable way. It's just that we don't always know what they know. But so why would this come out as an issue? Craig, do you have any thoughts on why would he even bring it up?
I don't think he's really trying to make news on immigration. I think this is just things he's saying and how they're being perceived and the attention they're getting. I mean, after this surge he had early on, which was a boon to him, particularly to his fundraising. I mean, he's in pretty good position right now in the Republican race. He's got the potential that a lot of other candidates don't have to appeal across some of these dividing lines within his party. He's got this great, shorthand story about all the times he's gotten elected and defeating labor in Wisconsin. So he's actually in a phase where he's not really trying to be in the media all the time. He doesn't need to be right now. But it happens, and immigration's a case where he didn't have a, highly developed positions, and I think for a while he was kind of trying to be all things to all people. So, he's playing with fire a little bit here, both in terms of how people react to his particular position as it evolves on immigration, and also just the perception of kind of not handling that particular issue well and shifting his ground, and that's a storyline that he doesn't want to see reinforced as the campaign goes on.
There's a second issue too, that over the years he's loved talking to the media and the press, but his campaign is trying to pull back and control what he's saying. So you have those two things going on. He does like getting out there and likes talking about whatever issue he's being asked about. Yeah, I wanted to get back to your story, the story you did today, and a question that kept on running through my mind as I was reading it, and that is, do you think that a voter in, say, South Carolina or New Hampshire, do you think do they care about what his approval ratings are in Wisconsin? Do you think?
I think that, not necessarily, but I do think that when you talk to people, activists who are reacting to Scott Walker, these are people outside the state of Wisconsin, people who are kind of warming to him, or, the things they know about him they like. I mean, one of the things they like about him is this narrative about, here's a guy from a swing state who was a very aggressive conservative and made it work politically, and winning 3 elections in 4 years. And he's going around telling people that, conservatives can be bold and they can appeal to not only Republicans, but they can also appeal to independents, because independents like bold leaders. Well, that story is, I think, less persuasive when you're struggling at home politically. So, if his numbers bounce back in the next few polls, no problem. But if he finds himself in a position like Chris Christie's in New Jersey, where he's got, it's a lingering issue in terms of his standing in the state, I think it just makes it harder to sell his electability, not necessarily his agenda, but his electability to some of these party insiders.
Well, let's hear on that electability question. Your concern is about the primary and the primary before the primary, and this is the primary before the primary before the primary, but the Koch brothers primary, there was this indication earlier in the week that the conservative Koch brothers, who are often spend quite large sums on Republican candidates, thought Walker was the best choice. And then they sort of walked that back a little bit. What's to be made of that?
I think it's a good signal for Governor Walker. I think it was David Koch who left a fundraiser. He made some comments privately and then confirmed them publicly. He later walked them back and said, well, I'm not endorsing anybody yet. But I feel like that was clearly a signal that they were saying, we see this guy as being the guy to beat Hillary Clinton.
It's more than a signal.
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
He actually told the New York Daily News that if Republicans get out, he thinks that Walker will clean her clock. That's what he said.
And Governor Walker said he was surprised by their comments. He had a sit-down interview with the Des Moines Register, and he said, well, that's great. We're thrilled, but we're just as thrilled if we get that approval from someone in Cedar Rapids.
Right. But you do a bigger happy dance when it's David Koch than.
Well, he has said he's going to spend,
Farmer Brown.
$900 million? Him and the network of Koch-affiliated organizations expect to spend about $900 million in this cycle. So I don't know how much the average Iowa voter spends, but I'm guessing not that much.
Probably not that much. Craig, you were with the governor a week ago or so in New Hampshire. How did he compare with the others? And do you get a flavor for how, in that key state, how he's faring with those average voters?
Yeah, I think he's doing okay. He's doing more than okay. I mean, some of the polls he's leading in New Hampshire, that doesn't mean a whole lot at this stage. But this wasn't an event like the one in Iowa back in January where, he was like the star of the show and everybody agreed that he was the story, and he kind of catapulted out of Iowa with a ton of momentum, a ton of attention. This was there were 19, I think, potential Republican hopefuls speaking at this event, and, a lot of the key ones were received fairly warmly by the crowd. Nobody necessarily stood out more than anyone else, but it was a good event for him because he, continued to make a good impression, I think, with voters there. And, there's just such a long way to go. Iowa or New Hampshire is going to be a lot about the commitment and the time that these people put in small venues and town hall meetings, and also what happens, as they come out of Iowa. So I think he's doing fine, and I think he didn't do anything certainly to hurt himself.
It does mean
in New Hampshire.
It does mean one thing. It means that he doesn't have to announce that he's running yet, while these other campaigns need to do that to get some air and to get some media attention. He doesn't have to do that right now.
And it's interesting. It's telling that the two candidates that have been, delayed their announcements are Jeb Bush and Scott Walker, because they're doing well raising money and they're getting a lot of media attention.